purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is therefore inevitable. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Talking Joe podcast. Welcome to the Talking Joe podcast. If you're just joining us, well, it's nice to have you on the ride. For our day one regulars, how are you? How have you been? How's the last few weeks of January been for you? Guys, so January has just finished successfully. So by the time you're listening to this episode of the podcast, it most likely will be February. So yeah, how was January for you? The 120 days of January has finally come to an end. So hooray, I guess. Yes, hooray. You should throw yourself a party. You did good. I'm proud of you. You survived January. You did good. I'm proud of you. Right? But on a serious note, how have you been? How have you been? How was January? Right. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is therefore inevitable is one of the most popular quotes from the Bohemian televangelist, late Dr Myles Munroe. Now, for a lot of people, the only time that name ever comes to their head is when they want to quote this saying. Most people do not know him more than that, but I judge not. Who am I? Right. Now, I quoted that because back in the days when I used to be in secondary school, now, I used to like quoting people a lot. So when I used to read as much as a secondary school child should read, I liked to quote, and not just quote people. I liked subjects like government, CRS, civic education. You know, subjects that can help you speak and articulate answers that are not just textbook answers. Subjects where the rules are not really rigid. So sometimes literature most especially, right? Subjects where the rules are not rigid, like mathematics or the sciences, where you don't have to follow a strict and specific set of rules to provide a strict and specific set of answers. So I used to like those other subjects. Now this is interesting because I was a science student, so as a science student you are supposed to follow a strict and specific set of rules. But I just used to like subjects. The main reason was because you could get expressive with your answer and, you know, philosophical. Like, you could really put in so much brain work. You could process your answers and articulate yourself the way an idea could come to you, right? It was just good. And I think part of that is still the reason why now as a teacher I've taught a lot of subjects. I've taught a lot of subjects in secondary school. And somehow I still think that teacher civic education, CRS, is still probably my favorite thing to teach, because we can just go off the rails. Not off the rails like off the rails totally, but like go off the rails from what is expected while still being on that subject matter. You know, and branch a few places and just talk and allow people be expressive and then get back to the subject at hand and not necessarily have veered off. It's still one of my favorite things to teach, right? So I quoted that statement because in those times when I used to be in secondary school, one of the ways I like to make sure I sounded more intelligent than my classmates, well, I mean, not to brag, I was probably one of the most intelligent guys in class. Yes. Whether you consider most intelligent as all males or most intelligent as both males and females, I was one of the top 5. Yeah, I was that good. Right. So if you didn't used to rate me before, like, you know me personally, you didn't used to rate me before, you should rate me now. I digress. That's just me being boastful. Right. So one of the things I love to do was stand up to answer a question. I'll just come up with this statement. Even if I can't not tell who referenced it, then you will now use this popular tag, a wise man once said. For those of you who get what I'm trying to say, right? So I'll just do that, right? It used to be very good, because I'll feel on top of the world and the teacher will be looking at me with squinted eyes and be like, my God, this child is so good, so intelligent. Or no, to this teacher, a wise man never said that, or better still, I was the wise man. I still am the wise man, right? So I'll just do a lot of that. But something changed while growing up. I started to see quotes by popular and great people. I learned how to see them from the flip side. So I'll take a quote and I would see it from the side of the speaker, and I could take the same quote and flip it. When you're making sandwich, right, or you're frying bread and egg, that mixture, that combo, right? Bread is on the pan, you could put those flat spoons and then flip it, exactly, just to see the back and see if it will hold. So I learned how to do that like a lot. I'll just take the statement and sit down with it and process it. So a few months ago, now originally, this quote by the Bohemian televangelist Dr Myles Munroe, when purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is therefore inevitable, is still one of the most used, one of the most popular. I still think one of the greatest quotes ever, because it's completely true. But one day in 2024, that's 2 years ago, somewhere in my favorite city, which of course is Ibadan. Thank you. It means you've been paying attention. So in my favorite city, I'm getting back from CDS. Now CDS was Community Development Service. During my service here, I'm seated inside what Ibadan residents will call Marwa, basically a tricycle. Just getting down at my junction, and on the road the driver is driving, and then the statement gets into my head. I think I had read an article the morning before, or I had listened to a sermon where the preacher referenced it, and that's the only thing I could pick, and I was turning it upside down in my head, and I thought about it. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. That's true. But abuse is sometimes also inevitable when the purpose is known, and that makes so much sense. Now, you are probably wondering, where's Joseph going with this? Stick with me. Now, in Nigeria, in Benin City, one thing that's popular is there are these little buses called minibuses, right? And not just minibuses. Bus drivers in general, or cab drivers, or taxi drivers, not cab drivers, taxi drivers do this funny thing where a vehicle is meant to take, so a Toyota Camry 2006 Camry model has seat for 5 persons. The driver's seat, the driver's passenger seat in front, and then a back seat that is supposed to take maximum of 3 persons. At least, when last time I checked the specifications for that car, a standard car should take 5 persons. But you won't believe that a standard car taxi takes 9 persons sometimes. 8, now 7 on a normal day. If it rains, I've seen 9 persons. And in my head, I'm thinking about it. Doesn't the driver know the purpose of the seats? That the seats were built to take a certain amount of people. Why abuse it? I know there is how this example comes off. It sounds very geographical in context. But hear me, just hear me. Have you ever seen a situation where something is built for a thing and it's used for something completely different? Okay, so sometimes on Instagram, there are these videos I see of these guys from China doing something creative, and then showing you how you can use everyday regular items for something else. I mean, I once found that you could use your toothbrush to hang clothes. I guess you could use your filter for more than just this. So they were trying to make everyday regular items look multi-purposeful. And I thought about it. Purpose is only important to the user because of what the creator says is the purpose of that thing. You could do a lot of things with an object, but the purpose is the exact thing creator says is the purpose of that thing. The purpose is not defined by the user, it's defined by the creator. So that would mean if that thing is used for any other thing except its purpose, that's abuse. So abuse is any other form of use except of the purpose of a thing. So I just meant these guys will most likely think that they are doing nothing evil, and they are, because some of these life hacks will come in very useful, but That's not the purpose of that thing. That's another use. That's not the purpose. I mean, the main importance of my toothbrush was to brush my teeth when the creator made it. Now, this thing can be used for something else. Exactly why I referenced the car. You know how many seats your car should, how many individuals a car can take. And in some areas, you see the car taking more than that. I've actually had to enter a bus that could take 16 persons and 24 of us were inside, lapping and squeezing and squishing simply because it rained. I get that it rained and then emergency or the time and the situation called for something else. I understand that. This is just me processing this thought a little bit further. And then I thought about it and I said, what if the purpose of a thing is no and then abuse is still inevitable? What if? I know that sounds like I'm going too far, but think about it, because sometimes as humans, one of our ways to use, our understanding of use sometimes is a total misuse or abuse. And it's because sometimes we try out our version of use of an object more than the actual version. So as consumers, we like to try out what we think is our version of use of an object more than the actual version of use of the object. I mean, just think about the car example. What something is beautiful is not used that way, it's used for something else. Right? It's beautiful taking 5 persons from point A to point B. But we say no. And then bus drivers in my city, like I said, want to make as much money as possible. So they do 7 persons, 4 persons tight. I have had to suffer because I'm sitting in a Toyota Camry with 3 fat women and I am not very fat in size and I am squashed, compressed like a zip file. That was very good. Just a little. Right. I'm compressed like a zip file and squeezed. And I'm like, there are already 3 fat individuals. Can this bus not just go while I wait for another one? Sometimes I will calm down. But some other times when I'm in a hurry, I'll just bear the discomfort for 15-20 minutes. For however long my ride would last. So that's a user trying out his version of use more than the actual version of use. Right? And I think that sometimes it's because the usefulness of a thing can be more than the user. And then to glorify our egos, to make it feel like we know what we are doing, we bring out our version of use onto and project it onto that thing more than just the version of use of that thing. We make that object more about us than the things about the object that was created. If you think about it deeply, this is sometimes the excuse behind human abuses in relationships. And by relationships, of course, I mean friendships, dating relationships, marriages, all forms of relationships that exist. This is sometimes the reason. Because we convince ourselves that it is what the situation calls for at the time, right? And then we, rather than just stick to the pattern or stick to the exact purpose and the exact way to use that thing, we just tell ourselves, you know what, this is what the object calls for, so I'm going to do it my own way. If you are being truthful, every one of us has an idea of something or a condition where we stretched the usefulness of an object or a particular thing or a situation beyond its actual function, just to make ourselves feel better. Sometimes to make ourselves feel like, oh, I know something about this thing that the producer doesn't really know. I know that I can stretch it. Right? And if that object could speak, if that situation could cry out, it would probably cry, you are abusing me. Because like I said earlier, one of our ways as humans to use is to misuse, abuse, or sometimes, I hate to say it, totally corrupt. It explains why someone can sacrifice a good and beautiful friendship just so that they can fulfill a short-term romantic desire. So you meet someone and you all are friends. Friends, fine. And, you know, we are all doing well as friends. There's nothing much about you all being friends. And you sacrifice that friendship for a romantic relationship. Like, I genuinely believe that there are some persons who you meet and there's a thought in your head, oh, I like this person, I really like to date them, I really like for us to be in a romantic relationship. But when you consider how good they are sometimes to you. I think that sometimes it's just best to tell yourself, you know what, I'd rather I keep this person in my life than date them, because you could date them and then it doesn't work out. I mean, think about it in this perspective. I once taught a child a few years ago now, while they were in JSS3. So for an international audience, that's junior secondary school. Yeah, the last class in junior secondary school. I once taught a child who was in fact, now I'm thinking about it, I've taught 2 cases of this who were sickle cell patients, right? And every time I would see them and see them go through their crisis and see them survive so much pain, I would just be heartbroken. So heartbroken. And one day I'd heard of a story. I was at work and I heard of a story online, as if I was supposed to hear of that story, of a girl and a guy who got married, and they both knew they were SS long before the marriage. But apparently the guy said he loved her too much. They loved each other too much to quit the relationship. And then they got married, and they said they came up with this very funny thing we tell ourselves, where we think we can rig the system and rig the results. So they said they would, try and give birth and do all of this and do all of that as much as they could, just to ensure they do not have a sickle cell child. But when you rig a system, you really can't tell how much of the results you can rig. And so they had their first child who was sickle cell, and this child was going from hospital to hospital. This child was at age 10 as at the time I heard the story. Was going from hospital to hospital to hospital, going through pain, unbearable pain. Could barely walk, couldn't sit for long, staying weeks into the hospital, getting discharged, being back a few weeks later, every single time. And I thought about it, and I just said, people can really be selfish. You would have benefited from this person, at least not as much as you want to, but you would have benefited from this person nonetheless if you had left this relationship strictly as a friendship. But just so that you can suit your ego of love in quotes, to tell yourself that you ought to get what you wanted, you pushed this thing further. And there is an entire human who was not aware when you made your decision, who has come as a result of your decision, that is experiencing so much pain because of your decision. And I just could not fathom it. The idea made no sense in my head. How can we be so selfish? And then thinking about this thing, and I thought, sometimes we can abuse situations and items and processes just to suit our egos. And it's nothing more than that. Because creativity in function sometimes results in corruption. When you try to be creative with an item, most especially when you are not the producer, sometimes that ends well, but some other times it ends in corruption. I just feel that if we can settle this idea in our heads, a lot can change. If we could just see that sometimes you are not the producer, you were not meant to be. You were meant to stick to the purpose of this thing and follow it squarely, just the way it is. It will be better. I just feel you shouldn't have to sometimes stick with the purpose. When an item or a situation or a person doesn't give you room to be creative, sometimes don't try it. Just follow the pattern. Some other times, even when you know the purpose, sometimes don't just be creative. Just stick to the purpose. Because creativity in function can sometimes result in corruption. I know you'll be expecting what's the moral lesson of this, because we do that every single time. I don't know if I have a moral lesson for this, but this is just the thought stopping me. Don't always be creative. Do not always use people. And I say this a lot because I have sometimes had to be in friendships where I have felt used. And if you are very honest with me, sometimes you felt used before, and you are wondering, what does this person think is my purpose of being friends with them? They are slave? They are house help? Like, why am I friends with you? I'm not friends with you just so that I can be the person who does this and does that for you. My purpose is not to be your this to you and that to you. I can do that, but more than just that, I have an actual purpose of being friends with you. You have a purpose of being friends with me. Why don't we stick to the purpose? Why use Why abuse? Why wrongly use? Why misuse? I don't know, but why? Why don't we just use people the way? Why do we even use sometimes? Why don't we just treat, most especially with people, because we can use items. Why don't we just treat people the way they should be? Knowing, discerning their purpose and treating them exactly like that. Not trying to be sneaky, and tweaking a few things here and there, misusing them, abusing them, find out why they are here and treat them the same way, the main reason. Like I said, I have no moral lesson on this one. I just came with questions. I have had these thoughts in my head for a better part of 2 years. And I just feel this is the right time to do this. So, I have no moral lessons. Please take it as you see. Ponder on this with me. I would love to hear your thoughts though. I would really love to hear your thoughts. So that I can just know, Do you feel differently? Do you feel like you are used a lot? At work, do you feel that you are used a lot? I say that because sometimes I feel that way. Sometimes, because of the nature of my job and what I can do, I sometimes see my colleagues and how they, do this, and I'm like, sometimes, are you sure you are not misusing me? Discern my purpose and treat me accordingly, right? So I can do that to you as well, right? Sojourners, till I come your way on the next episode. My name is Dr. Joe, and Jesus died for you. Bye.